My name is Chris. I'm a junior studying CS. I've been on AppDev. This is my fourth semester. In my fourth semester, I've been around the app space on AppDev. I've been on Transit. I worked on Volume. A little bit of our new app, Rideshare, is coming out soon. Um, yeah.
Hi, my name is Jessie. This is also my fourth semester in AppDev. I have been working on app called Polo, and recently I'm working on a new app called Resell. It's not coded in Android, but it's also a cool app. Okay.
And why Android? So I asked you guys on the submission form what you guys wanted to get out of this class, and I created a word cloud. This is just some of like the big words. A lot of you guys wanted to expand your skill set, learn how to create apps from scratch, develop new things, and I think that this class can get you that and more. So for now, we're going to start from the basics, I guess. But first, we're going to go over kind of like the layout of the course. So attendance is taken by attendance form, as I said, and all the lectures are recorded and are posted on our YouTube at the end of lecture. So yeah, and we have discussions on Wednesdays in the same room. And we ask that you come to 4 out of the 6 of our discussions slated. And for enrollment, you can enroll in CS 1998 602 for up to 2 credits, and it's a pass-fail course. The add and drop deadlines are there for your convenience. And yeah, and if you need to get help, we have our Ed discussion board that's on the course textbook. The link for that's on the course textbook. And we also have office hours, which are coming out soon. We have a lot of TAs for this class, so there'll be plenty of help to get you guys help if you need it. And then we have CMS. If you guys probably taken CS class before, so you guys know what CMS is. It's used to submit assignments and stuff. So, and then we have the course textbook as well, which is the link is right there. And this is just an overview of kind of like the course schedule. So there's 6 projects, 6 lectures that are posted on YouTube. And towards the end of the class, we'll have bonus lectures, which are just for extra credit. And then at the end of the semester, we'll also have the hack challenge. The hack challenge is it's a big thing with all the courses that we teach at AppDev. Everyone is paired with every person from, you guys form a team with a person from each of the courses, and you guys create an app from scratch, and you guys compete to win prizes. So you might be paired with a designer, a backend person, and an iOS dev, and you guys have to create an app from scratch. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And this is just the grading scheme. A lot of the earlier assignments are worth less points, and then they occur more as they get more difficult. For the late policy, there's 6 slip days, and then you can use 2 slip days max per assignment. But if you have any constraining circumstances, you can just email us for students too, so we understand how hard it can get sometimes. So yeah, just reach out if you're struggling or you need extra help, and we'll be there for you. And yeah, and at the end of every homework, there's just a feedback form for you guys to submit. So you can just let us know how we're doing, what we need to improve on. And yeah, we'll greatly appreciate your feedback. So, and this is just a little bit about the assignments. So the assignments are done in partners, just to give you guys an experience of how it's like working together with other people, as you will be doing during the hack challenge. This is a relatively small class, so just want to give everybody an opportunity to get to know everyone in here. Yeah, and on your assignment, if something goes wrong, then you can submit a README text letting us know kind of any errors that you accounted for or you encountered in your coding, and we'll take that into account when we're grading something. Because you don't want to just outright fail if you didn't manage to get something. So the README text kind of helps us see what's wrong, and we can go from there. And we'll be using GitHub, because that's also something used in the hack challenge across all of the projects. So we want to make sure that you guys have a good experience at Git, hands-on at Git. And yeah, a lot of the rest of it is on the course textbook for submitting assignments, like the zipping and the submitting on CMS. So yeah. And then this is just a little bit about academic integrity. This our course advisor, for AppDev and our courses in general is Walker White. And he's very big on academic integrity. I would not want to cross his paths in terms of anything related to integrity. He's a pretty scary man, so yeah. Feel free, you guys can use the internet to refer to any like documentation, or if you're stuck on implementation detail, like you need to know how to do something, but don't rely on it too heavily for all of what you do. But it's okay to refer to something like an API or just a reference. And partners are going to be required, groups of 2 or 3. And make sure that when you're using your GitHub that they're private. If it's public, then obviously you can look at other people's submissions, and that's a telltale sign of academic integrity. So make sure that when you're creating GitHub projects, GitHub repos, that they are private. So, and now we're just going to go a little bit over a nice little short overview of Kotlin, which is the language taught in this class. It's kind of similar to Java. You'll see in the next few slides.
What question do you have?
Yes.
Yeah, quick question. So are these like lectures recorded right now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And you're gonna post it on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
After, yeah.
Keep going. Next slide.
Yes. So Kotlin is a statically typed language. If you're coming from Java, should be very familiar. Usually when you're assigning things in Java, you have to specify like string name equals new string. Very similar here in Kotlin, where you have to specify the type of your variables. Like for here, val name string equals Leslie. And what's smart about Kotlin is that it can kind of infer what the type of what you're doing is. So it knows that Leslie is a string, so it knows that the type of name in the first line is a string, so it doesn't have to worry about explicitly typing the type of something. So, yeah. Another important aspect of Kotlin is that it's big on mutability. So if you see on the right here, you have 2 ways to delineate kind of a variable. You have a value, a val, and then you have your var, which stands for variable. So val means that it can't be modified after you type it because it's a value, so it stays constant throughout the entire like block of your code. And variable means that it's able to be changed. Typically, when you're coding, you want to try and keep things as immutable as possible, so it's sticking to values. Once you get to things where they start changing, it can be kind of confusing, realizing like the state of things and how things are. So it's a good coding paradigm to keep things immutable. So, and the last part is nullability. Kotlin is big on nullability. If you guys are coming from Java, you know you probably suffered a lot from null pointer exceptions. That's no more in Kotlin. If you take a look at val, the first line, val name equals null, you can't explicitly say that something is null. You have to delineate it with this question mark here. See in the third line, there's a question mark at the end of the string. That lets Kotlin know, the compiler know, that this value could possibly be null, and that when you're executing functions on, say, name, you'll have to explicitly check to make sure that the thing could be null, or otherwise you'd be getting exception. But not in this case, because you have to check explicitly whether or not it is null. So Kotlin is nice in that sense where it'll make sure that when you're doing things, it won't be null. Yeah.
If you have 2 exclamation mark after the type, it means that there's no way that the current variable is a null. So that's another like difference for Kotlin, is that sometimes when you look at the type, you will know that there's no way a specific variable is null.
Yes. And yeah, you can check out the Kotlin Code Playground for more practice and the textbook, and also Kotlin documentation. It's pretty useful for teaching you kind of the rundown of what Kotlin is. So, and then I will talk about the software development kit, the SDK. Yeah, each Android device comes with installed with a specific SDK. As like Android progresses, they come with higher and higher SDKs that bring about new features for both the Android phone and for development-wise also. Like higher SDKs might give you access to new APIs or new quality of life development features. So yeah, and usually when you're coding, you have to specify like a minimum SDK for your app to target. And then you also have a target SDK level, which specifies the SDK that your app is meant to run on, like the Android version that your app is meant to run on. Google requires that all new apps have an SDK of 30, which is equivalent to like the Android 11 version. Next slide. So yeah, this is just like a more example. So if the app that you're creating has a minimum SDK of 26, then an Android 5 phone can't use your app.
Right. So sometimes you have to, when you are making the app, you have to find a balance between like enables a lot of the functions and make sure there's enough device that can use your app.
Yes. And then here you have the minimum SDK 26, but obviously since Android 10 is SDK 28, it can use an app like Eatery. And yeah, this is just an example of like kind of like the distribution across the different SDKs. So for example, SDK, if you try to minimally target Android 8.1 Oreo, you'll be supporting 79% of all devices, because it adds up from 27 down to 30. So there kind of is an advantage if you want to try and target the 4%, the 2.9%. At the same time, there's that trade-off. So yeah. Now we're just gonna go over quickly Android Studio.
So first of all, I'm just wondering if all of you guys have installed Android Studio. If not,
It's okay if you don't.
it's okay. We're gonna help you out of installing it. So like by show of hands, how many of you guys have Android Studio already? Okay, yeah, so for those who have, you might need to like wait for a while, but we're gonna help the rest of people to get Android Studio. So
it's pretty hard to set up initially, so it can run into a lot of errors and bugs. So we're gonna make sure that you guys have it down pat before.
Right, so you guys like go to Chrome, Safari, whatever, and then search Android Studio. I don't have a Mac over here, so it might be really different. No. And then you can just click download, and maybe they give you like Mac whatever options, and just pick the one. And
yes.
Whenever you guys encounter something that does not seem right, just call us out. Seems like most people are done installing everything. We're gonna start off by, I guess, creating a new activity. So wait, so you like after installation, after you opening up the Android Studio, your application should look like this, and then you go to the top left corner, and then you can say like new, and then create a new project. Let me know if there's anything that just looks different on your side, but basically you can like create a new project with templates of your like initial activities. Those are some choices, but for demo purposes, I'm just gonna create an empty one for now. And then you can enter the name for your project. Let's just say Android project 1, and then you can find a place to store your project. The minimum SDK over here is what we talked about. You can select a minimum SDK you want to set that you think will be appropriate for your app. I'm gonna set it to, I guess, like 23. It's gonna run on like 94% of the device. It's really nice that Android Studio tells you that. And then I'm gonna click finish. It's gonna take a while for everything to build up. Just point two different sections on here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's not built all the way because I don't see the.
Yeah, it's not yet. It's not built up yet. But basically, you can see like, oh my gosh, my computer is not charged. Give me 1 second. Okay, now it's charged. You can see the bottom right corner, there's a series of building activities that's going on, and when they're all done, you should be ready to do the next step. Now here it is.
Just to give a quick overview of like kind of like what you're seeing here. So on the left hand side is kind of like the project panel where you can like see like the structure of your project. You see like the main app here, and then you see like the files here. And then the editor part is like this big white chunk where the actual code is displayed. That's where you're putting in all your logic, or all your front end, or your XML UI stuff. And then up here is kind of like the toolbar where you can see your emulator, which is what we'll talk about in a second. And you can also have commands like run your app and
And there's also like debug your app, that's that bug
yes.
icon. Oh, I see. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I'll show them after we run something. It's over here.
Oh, yeah.
If you go to like the bottom left corner and then you click the small window, you will see a little bit more about like different consoles you can have. I think the most used console are um
Definitely, I
the
think
logcat.
yeah, lifetime. I listen, yeah.
It's showing a lot about what is currently going on in the Android Studio, and it's showing what's going on in your app currently. And also, I guess View sometimes is helpful. Profiler is really helpful if you are working with a backend and you have challenge in the future. You want to see what data come in and out. And after everything, like after you actually make something in your app, there's also gonna be a terminal that says like run, which is gonna tell you if you have some bug going on, like what activity is running, but we don't have it right now. Um, so, wait. We're gonna start off by going to the XML. So basically, in order to create an app, you need an XML and the colon file. Colon files are like programmatically what's going on to each of the components that's in the XML, like in the layout. So basically, they work together. XML is a place where you can put in all of the components you want. We're gonna teach mainly four components today. They are text views, edit text, image view, and buttons. Those are like really basic, really helpful ones. So we already have a text view here, and it's in a constraint layout. I'm gonna talk about what is constraint layout just in a second. But you see for this text view, there is width and height, and like whatever you wanna display in your text. And also those constraint to the right, constraint to the left are basically saying what is the relative position of this text view. So for every component inside of a constraint layout, you have to have a horizontal and a vertical constraint, which means you have to either have a constraint to the bottom, constraint to the top, or yeah, you have to have either or you can have both. But you cannot like if you take out both the constraint to the top and constraint to the bottom, um, it seems like it works on the side. Like it seems like it's in an okay location, but you're gonna get an error because you have to constrain it vertically. But for the minimum, you can have like one constraint to the vertical side and one constraint to the horizontal. And you can play around with it. So in order for you to like center a task, you can constrain it to left and right, and then it's gonna be in the middle. And if you want to center it like vertically, you can constrain it to top and bottom. Basically, imagine constraint layout being every component are tied up in a string of a box, and the constraints are basically other strings. Okay. So now I'm just putting it back to center. And now you might be wondering, this is just a static component. Like you're not gonna see any change if you're interacting with it. So how do I like make things change? Um, this will involve using the colon file. So how does the colon file knows which component it is accessing? We're gonna give each of the component an ID. So it's basically android.id, and then we're gonna give you a name. In this case, we can name it like TextView1, and then inside the colon file, we can say so basically this is the syntax here. We are creating a variable. Actually, this is not a variable, it's a value that has a variable name text view, and it has the type text view. And then we're gonna say, here is how we're gonna find this text view. We're gonna find it by ID, and this ID is the ID that we just set over here in the XML. And if you want to set it to if you want to set the text of this text view to something else, you can do text view.text. It's basically the same as text view dot set text, but we can abbreviate it just being text view.text because whatever string you want. Now you can see this like test one is getting some sort of error. It's not the most recommended style for it to be, because there's a better style of doing it. Is that we can, oh sorry, what question do you have? Oh, zooming in, sure. Wait, I cannot zoom in. Wait. Huh. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Like 20. This is too big. Like this.
Is that better?
Is this better?
Okay, cool.
Okay. But yeah, so we talked about. Oh, we did not talk about. Okay. um, okay. Actually, we're gonna go over that later. So basically, okay, this is text view, and we're gonna do something else. The next view we're gonna introduce is input. Like edit text. Basically, it's kind of like a place that you can like have users to enter whatever they want. Like if you're creating a login screen, it's a place for user to enter their username and password. So similarly, it's gonna have a width and a height. Now we're gonna go into detail about like what are the different options for the width and height. You can have wrap content, and you can also have match parent. Wrap content is basically like whatever you have inside that specific component is determine the height and width of this current component. So it's kind of dynamic thing. Like in the text view, if you have hello world, it's gonna be, and if you have wrap content, it's gonna be exactly like how long and how tall this like text view is for the specific font. However, if you have match parent, um, the size of the current component will be exactly the same size of like the parent component, like including it. Usually we're doing like wrap content for a lot of things, or you can set it to whatever like number you want. Let's say we can make an edit text with like 200 dp and like 20 dp. And for the edit text, you can also have a thing called hint. Is that you can say whatever you want a user to enter. So Android hint, it could be username. And then similarly, we're gonna constrain them left and right. Now, since we already have a text view, we don't want the text view and the edit text to overlap. So instead of constraining to the top of the parent, we can constrain it to the bottom of the text view we had. So yes. Okay, so now you can see we have our edit text. Can you guys see it? Right beneath the text view. Like this. Okay. And the next thing we're gonna go over is let's say we want a button. For example, you can have like if you want to create a login view, you can have like a login button for it. It's really helpful. Like every app have a tons of button. So we can also just customize the width and height. In this case, let's constrain the button to the bottom of the edit text that we just create. Oh, I forgot to give the edit text an ID. Let's just make this a little taller. And we're gonna make this button have a text like submit on it. And now currently the button is in purple, but what if you want to change the color of the button? You can do like change the text color of it to, let's say like you can change it to black. You can also customize it to give it like different background colors, and you can even make this button become like an image button. But we're not gonna go into detail about this for this lecture. We're gonna go over more in the recitation discussion on Wednesday. And last but not least, we're gonna make an image view, and let's make it appear above the text view. In this case, we're gonna use constraint bottom to the top of our text view because we're gonna place it above the text view. And now we're gonna use like SRC, basically in this case means resource, to set like what is appearing in the image view. Not sure if you can see, but this is a Android logo. Okay, now we have all of our components, but we want to make it interactive. So what if we wanna have user enter something inside the edit text, and then while they press the submit button, they're gonna change the text view right here. Instead of hello world, let's change it to whatever they submit inside the edit text. First of all, we're gonna get all of the components inside a Kotlin file. It's basically for all of the image view edit text button whatsoever, it's basically like the similar syntax to get the components. Is always find view by ID. And always remember to give your component IDs, much easier for all of the coding. did I not name it? Oops. Oh, I did name it. Let's capitalize. The nice thing about Android is a lot of things it can help you to autocomplete. So like if I just type ID here, it sometimes just give me the, okay, now I already have it. But if I don't have ID and then I type ID here and then I just click enter, it will give me like the best, like it's gonna guess what I want and then give me the best bet. So if you like when you are making an Android application, you don't know what's the right syntax, maybe sometimes just try the English word for it. I think I have one for the image reader. Okay, now I have everything here. So as I said, I wanna something to happen after the button clicked. So in order for that to happen, I need to say button dot set onClick listener. That is the method we use to check if button is being clicked and what happened when button is getting clicked. So inside this big parenthesis is what's gonna happen when a button get pressed. So we wanna get whatever they input inside the edit text and then change the text view to match whatever they enter in the edit text. But first of all, we're gonna make sure that edit text is not empty. So let's first check that. No. The syntax of it is kind of very similar to Java. It's just for edit text and for text view, dot text can both means like you wanna get whatever they like insert in the text, or it can also be if you wanna set it. We can just use dot text. It's both a setter and a getter. And now this should work. But in order to test it, I know not everyone has an Android device, but that's totally fine for you to become an Android developer. We can use a thing called emulator, and now I'm gonna walk through and show you guys how to create an emulator. Do you guys have any questions at this point? Okay, hi, what's, oh, yes. So basically, you can go to the top right corner, and then there's a thing called AVD Manager. And then you go to the bottom left corner, there's a thing called Create Virtual Device. Inside this, you can see a lot of phone screen size. You can choose resolutions, and for demo purposes, I'm just gonna choose Pixel 2 for now. And then it's gonna ask you like what API level you want. I think you also have to like download different API levels if you haven't made an emulator before. So in this case, download the one for API 29. for now. I think it's gonna work for like most of the homework we have. Just click, like it's supposed to be a download button here. Once you have done that, first of all, do anyone like have problem downloading a AP, like downloading a API? Everyone successful till this step?
It'll probably take a minute.
Okay, right.
Yeah, usually the like emulator is generally slower than like the actual physical phone. But if you have an Android device, then you can also use that in your development purposes too, and it's generally more faster. So
Right. If you have an Android device, just connect it with a USB to your computer is much faster. But with emulator, you can actually try your app in different screen size, which gonna make your app more compatible. Do you have a question? Okay, yeah. And then you can give your emulator a name, whatever name you want, like Android device one. You say finish. I already have an emulator created, so I'm just gonna run through all the code I have right now. Okay, just making sure. No, this is the previous one.
oh,
Oh, I think I have too high of a SDK level. I have some technical issue right now, but I'm gonna finish the demo and introducing more detail about different components in the discussion this Wednesday. So let me know if you guys have any questions, and hope to see you guys all on Wednesday. Thank you for coming. Technical difficulties. Why it was working?
yeah, hopefully we'll hammer out a lot of the technical difficulties by next class. This is kind of our first test run, so sorry about the bumps in the road, but hopefully it'll be better next time.
I should not. What? Here.
Yeah, it should be the same room, same time, same meeting place, same everything. So
Right. Hi.
yeah, yeah, sure.